All right, some of you say, what the heck is a CAO? Why do I need to know? I don't care. Others of you say, the CAO is responsible for everything and how the town works, and there's too much power, there's not enough power. So it feels like this is a polarizing topic because some of us care a lot about the CAO position. Some of us don't even know what it is, and others of it say, hey, I vote on the council, just do the job, don't bother me with how it works. All right, so welcome to the party, wherever you fall on that spectrum. I think it's important for you to know not just how it works. Again, if this is not your bag, then that's fine. It's important that you know that your mayor knows how it should work, okay? So that is why I am here explaining and deconstructing this kind of thing where we have the decisions made on your behalf in your municipal government, and then the CAO leads the staff, the employees of the municipality, this corporation that we all live in, to execute and perform those decisions throughout the community. So, remember from grade school, who, what, where, when, why? The who, what, where, when, why, the 5 W's, are essentially the decisions that are made by your council. And your council includes the mayor. So when I say council, I am including the mayor. The mayor is part of council, kind of the first among equals, a voting member if it's a tie, but your council functions, it's like the way if you say a board, you're not excluding the chair, the chair of the board is included in that. So you have the who, what, where, when, why being decided by council on your behalf. You elect those folks, but then the how is what the staff accomplish. It's how they carry out the decision. Who's doing it? When? What? Where? When? Why are we doing it? The how is carried out by the staff, and the CAO is heading that up. Here's the real important takeaway. The CAO needs to be a nonpartisan, kind of non-political expert consultant for the council. Okay, and if you think this is kind of a meager job or unimportant, maybe you, I guess I shouldn't recommend the book to you if you feel that way. But there's a book that I'm about halfway through called The CAO right here. It is a best practices, a definition, experiences of other CAOs throughout Canada. So yesterday I talked about how we have adopted the CAO model precisely because when a council decides who, what, where, when, why, where we're going, vision, and what needs to be done based on residents' behalf, how does that get carried out? Well, it is through a chief administrative officer who is carrying out those things. So in St. Stephen, to pick up where we left off yesterday briefly, and I'm not going to get into the technicalities, I can put these links in the description, but we have the bylaw that created the CAO in the municipality of St. Stephen. And really what I want to talk about briefly today is how the CAO role and the council role are made very clear through the code of conduct for council and the bylaw that establishes, it's called a bylaw respecting the duties and powers of the chief administrative officer. There you go. Again, link in the description. And that separation, that fold in the paper here, is enshrined in both of those documents in the sense that the CAO and the mayor are the points of contact for those two halves of a well-functioning municipal government. And so here in the bylaw respecting the duties and powers of the chief administrative officer, all the duties are in there. I'm not going to read them all. It's everything that the CAO has the power to do by the authority given it by the council, because the council kind of incepted this role. But really importantly, the chief administrative officer shall be accountable to council for the exercise of all powers, duties, and functions. So the CAO is accountable to the council for how all the things are carried out. That accountability is really, really important. I'm resisting, maybe you can tell, on commenting on a lot of the opinions out there of how the municipality is currently functioning. I'm not inside, so I can't speak to that, and nor do I really want to. But it's important that we understand that the CAO is accountable to council. And then you see here under administration, the chief administrative officer shall be the contact between the administration of the municipality and council, and communication from the administration to council flows through the CAO. So when you're talking about communication and accountability and things like that, it's highly inappropriate for councilors or the mayor to go and talk to and advise and direct or accost staff or department heads. That's completely out of bounds. Everything goes through the CAO. Now, again, the CAO is accountable to council and advises council as that non-political expert. And so council needs to be able to call or visit the CAO when they need to. And I'd say open door policy. I would expect from my council the ability to connect with the CAO whenever they have an issue, whenever they're thinking something through. Every councillor comes with a goal and a vision. That's why they come to the table. It's like any board. The CAO has this really crucial role when I think about it, and as I read these books and study the role, they're just absolutely essential for council, even in part of the decision making, because a CAO knows the bylaws, for example, front and back. If they're highly competent, that's what they know how to do. Well, I think about when you're making a decision, you need to consult your chief administrative officer and ask, kind of on a spectrum, I would say. So I think about, hey, here's something that the residents would like, or something that we would like to accomplish. Can we do it legally? There's the can we do it, which the CAO can answer really well. Yes, it's possible from a budget perspective, from a legal perspective. That is really what the CAO specializes in. Do we have the staff? Do we have the people? Do we have the land? Do we have, and legally, can we do it? Should we do it? Now, should is more of a political question, right? Should is something that we contact the residents about, and is that a priority? Is that something to tackle now or next year or in the next budget, or that kind of, should we do it? Shouldn't we do it? Maybe we shouldn't do it. And that's where I think a CAO has a little bit more weight, in the sense of, hey, I know this is something you're interested in. I know this is something residents are calling for, but we shouldn't do it because we could get into legal trouble, or we shouldn't do it because X, Y, Z. And that is where they simply advise the council from their expertise. And then, of course, there's the can't. We can't do it. It's illegal. We're going to get in trouble. And that is typically in the bylaws. It's from the Local Governance Act, the Community Planning Act, other zoning bylaws that the Service Commission can help with, and things like that. So that is where the CAO gets consulted, offers their expertise. And on that spectrum, like I said, sometimes it'll be you shouldn't do that, or yeah, I think we should do that. Pipes are bursting or things like that. Like, we should think about putting money into the capital budget because we're going to have to replace infrastructure, that kind of thing. And then, can we do it? This is one thing that I've talked about. When you're seeing kind of issues throughout town, I don't feel, as a resident, from my limited perspective, but I don't feel that council is always doing everything it absolutely can and pushing hard enough to do what it can. Sometimes it feels like there's some shoulder shrugging and say, well, I don't think we should do that. I don't know if the political will is there. And I use other municipalities as example, other mayors as an example, where they say, we're doing this, we're leveraging the resources of the Service Commission, the province, we're doing this because it needs to get done. Now, again, that's not one person saying that. That's not a mayor saying that. A mayor is only one voice at a table of 7 people. But when we have a council, I think what we want to say is, can we do this? And that's where a CAO can say, yes, we can. Should we do this? Well, the CAO can weigh in. The CAO's voice is important when, no, legally we can't. And so it's important to distinguish between those things in that relationship with the CAO and the council as that nonpartisan advisor. That is, when you see it functioning that way, that's when you see municipalities functioning very strongly. Tomorrow, I'll talk a bit more about the council's relation with staff and the CAO, and talk about some great resources out there for performance review, because ultimately, at the end of the day, an election is a performance review of council and the mayor. But how does this CAO, who has so many responsibilities in terms of the how, well, how does that CAO get evaluated? On what basis? How often? Et cetera, et cetera. So I want to unpack a little bit about that. And then the table will be fully set for me to talk more about some of the content on buildupststephen.ca, my priorities, my commitments, my 5-stage action plan, because ultimately I want to be leading a council that you trust, building a home that we're proud of, using an action plan that we all understand. All right? Happy Wednesday. It is a beautiful, perfect, snowy day out there. Take care of yourself today. Take care of your neighbor. And until tomorrow, let's build up St. Stephen. Cheers.